There are vampires in The Sims, yes, both in The Sims 3 and The Sims 4, but who did it better? Well, today we're gonna find out, comparing The Sims 3 vampires to The Sims 4. Sims 4 has its own dedicated pack, while The Sims 3 vampires came originally with the late night expansion. So, who did it better? Who sucked the plasma the best? Well, let's find it out now. So starting with The Sims 4 character creation, I decided to go for the Master Vampire aspiration. There's two for vampires in The Sims 4, but I decided to go for that one because I think it's more interesting. There's also here you can just create the vampire straight off the bat, and I decided to just do it that way because it's very easy to become a vampire, so it's just, what's the point of wasting time? Let's just dive straight into it. If you didn't realize that yet, Edward Simbrosia is inspired by Edward Cullen because I have a fondness for Twilight. So he's gonna be musical genius, he likes books, you know, he's just gonna be tranquil kind of person. And since we're comparing this to vampires in the Sims 3 late night, I decided to go to San Myshuno and live in an apartment just to kind of, you know, have the closest comparison possible. So yes, we're living in a little tiny apartment, and here we go. From the get-go, we have completed the first part of the aspiration because we became a vampire. Again, I kind of cheated because I created the vampire, but again, it's so easy to become a vampire. Who cares, really? But right off the bat, we have the little like skill tree, which I really like in The Sims 4. So we're selecting our first skills, which we're gonna go for detect personality. I don't know why I do this because I don't ever use this skill, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try this time. I'm trying a little bit different. I play a lot with vampires, but never really tried this skill. So let's give it a shot. Next task is to use computer to look for vampire knowledge, which I like the fact that vampire knowledge is a separate skill in The Sims 4, so that you know, you can find out more and more, and like as it grows, you have access to more things, which is kind of cool. And we also were to read the Vampire Tome, which we completed very quickly. So really less than 5 minutes in the game, and we have the first part of the aspiration done. That's how Sims 4 is. It's quick. And look at that, we have the second trait already, and I do like to go for this one, which basically allows you to grow the powers quicker, so we went for this. Then I realized our neighbor is out, and I mean, isn't that the best time for the first feed? And it's so easy to feed in Sims 4, but you know what, it's satisfying. Yeah, she is now being fed from. Oh, and she's a snob, family-orientated, and self-assured. The personality powers works. Oh, the welcome wagon is there, and her husband is there. No, we didn't kiss. I was just sucking her blood. Don't worry, bro. Don't worry, bro. He's like, I don't like you, but you're still gonna get the fruitcake. I'm not inviting anyone into my humble vampire lair, but I'm gonna take their fruitcake. Why not? A few hours of reading later, we leveled up our vampire skill again. Hell yeah. Oh, and this guy came in, clearly not minding that, you know, we sucked blood out of his wife. And were able to detect his personality, but I don't think I checked because we leveled up our vampire powers. And I went for vampiric charm this time because, you know what? It's something a little bit different. And what I like is that you have those negative traits that you have to apply as you level up your vampire skill. So I usually go for wither stomach, so you just can't eat normal food, which is fine because you can just drink blood. Or plasma, sorry. That's nice of the victims of my blood drinking and their families feeling, you know, welcome in my home and not fearing me. You know, I appreciate that acceptance. So thank you very much, friends. Though he doesn't seem to like me, but oh well, you can't please them all. So now it's time to create our sim in Sims 3. So we're doing Edward Simbrosia as well. It's going to be, again, based on Edward Cullen, and since, you know, with Sims 3 is a little bit more emo, it was pretty easy to make somewhat of Edward Cullen lookalike. The thing is, I could not select vampire from the get-go, which I thought that was an option, but it wasn't in late night. So I realized later on which expansion has that option, so don't worry about that. But yeah, at the moment this is just late night, and there is no also any aspiration that's anything to do with vampires, so that was also a little bit surprising. So I just selected superstar actor, because with this I also want to compare the actor skill, or at least have my sim do actor job, because vampire doesn't pay the bills, you know, so I need them to work, so we're gonna go for actor. In this playthrough, again, we're in the city, so I decided to go for the little apartment and decided to straight away go for the acting career, or at least decided to apply for it. Thankfully, this town has a very convenient metro system, which brought me straight to the filming studio, so I appreciate that. Edward's first job, background extra. So bring chaos into the focus, where it's a mangled script or an action-packed chase scene are just two scenarios for sim in a film career. You need a friendly attitude, a healthy dose of charisma and celebrity, as well as skill with the written word to excel on the silver screen. Hell yeah, we're doing it. The problem is now that we have to become a vampire, and for that we need to go to a club, because that's the best place to meet a vampire, which unfortunately open late, because they're clubs, they're not coffee shops. So Edward's gonna be reading for a while. I decided to get him out of the house, so we went to the museum to drink, because that's my favorite place to drink, at 2 p.m. Yeah, what a lovely atmosphere. Interestingly, I think I met a vampire. I don't know what tells me that he's a vampire, but there's something about him that just tells me that, yeah, that he definitely is a vampire. I was trying to befriend him, because apparently you have to be friends for them to want to make you into a vampire. I'm like, I don't know, that's not what I read in books, you know? They usually just turn you in the middle of the night, but it is what it is. I was trying to be friends, but it really wasn't working out, and I was getting hungry because I was still immortal. How disgusting, I eat mortal food. By the way, why is there a sign saying no swimming in the museum? That's really weird. Anyway, I was getting tired, so I went back home. Enjoy the slumber of the mortals, Edward, because soon you will sleep no more. Because you will be a vampire, you won't have to. After a quick meal of cereal, we went to work. Oh my god, our first day working in the movie industry. That's so cool. Though here, the movie career is more of a rabbit hole, and I understand why, because, you know, everything is open world. If you also could like have the whole movie set that works at the same time as the whole city, you know, like with the cars driving around and everything, PCs would not be able to handle it back when this was released, but it's kind of a shame, because we all just sit here and stare at those doors until Edward is finished. And he earned 121 simoleons. It's not the worst, it's not the best, but you know what? I'll take it. But it's time to go to my favorite club. This is The Grind. And I asked this guy to like chill with me, because he's definitely a vampire, right? So I was just trying to befriend him to see if he maybe wants to make me a vampire, but then he just got offended and left. So it is how it is. Rejected by a vampire. Oh my gosh. Edward tried to dance away the sting of rejection, but it wasn't doing that well, so we went back home. Home sweet home. And yeah, unfortunately, we're not doing that good. We're not progressing. We're not being vampires. What's happening? I thought it's gonna be so easy. Next day we went to work and we got a first promotion. Amazing. We are now a best boy. The best boy is often not the best, and as required by law, typically not a boy. As a lackey to the director, stars, and even more senior best boys, it's your job to get it done regardless of the cost of personal dignity. I'm afraid to ask what that is, but Edward just doesn't ask questions. He's gonna do anything to become a movie star. To celebrate our promotion, we invited our vampire friend to a garbage dump, because why not? And yeah, I just lined up all the possible social interactions, because I really want to become a vampire. Come on, dude. Be a friend and turn me into a vamp. Like, how rude of you that you don't want to share your immortality. That is so rude. Oh, he did do it, but I just like scrolled over it because it was like fast forwarding. Anyway, we're vampires now. That's awesome. Thank you, vampire dude. I don't know your name, but thank you. Home sweet home and the last day of immortality. We're gonna be vampires. Yeah, enjoy your last meal, because from now on, you're drinking plasma. So yeah, we became a vampire, but something wasn't really jiving with me, because I was thinking, right, there has to be a vampire aspiration in The Sims 3. There has to be. So I looked it up and, my gosh, there was. It's just not in the late night expansion. Yes, apparently there is like a separate expansion which has the aspirations for vampires, even though vampires were introduced in the late night. Make it make sense. Anyway, we're gonna be installing another expansion just to do this challenge. Anyway, let's back to The Sims 4 for now. Here is our boy Edward. So for the next part of our aspiration, we had to do vampiric training, which we need a different vampire to train with us. So I decided to go to the vampire world. This world might be small, but it is a vibe. And we're of course gonna go to Vlad, our friend, our buddy, our maestro. Hey Vlad, what's popping? I need some vampiric training, mate. Can you do that for me? He was not into it, so we went to a different guy. Caleb, our boy, what a legend. He agreed to the vampire training and we leveled up once again. We went farther into our aspiration. We're flying through this, honestly. Home sweet home. We're doing great with the aspiration side of things, but we need to pay the bills. So I went for the actor career, as I mentioned earlier. It's both in late night and in The Sims 4, so I decided to do it. And yeah, we became an actor. Hell yeah. So right from the start, the Sims 4 career in acting is a little bit more complex. So first of all, you select agencies, and agencies give you different type of gigs that you can do, which is kind of interesting. But before I selected the gig, I first wanted to level up a little bit more in my aspiration, and so I got new skills, and I went for vampiric strength because for this aspiration we need to fight other vampires, so strength always helps. I went straight away to have a scrap, and it turns out one of the vampires we know works at the stand randomly, so I decided to, you know, have a little scrap, and unfortunately Edward lost. But it was a friendly little spar, so it's all good. We're still mates. After a good friendly fight, we selected a gig. So we have a range of things. We have making music, salty sound commercial, preclinical pharmaceuticals, or void bob. And as you can see, different type of gigs have different type of skills. So guitar, charisma, comedy, and fitness. Which means, you know, there's a lot of things involved in this acting career. I went for the pharmaceutical company ad thing, which apparently requires me to have comedy, which is interesting. So I went to this lounge and it was just doing jokes. You know what? Edward, if anything, has guts to just come out and do comedy without any preparation. What a legend.
What's the deal with airplane food?
And oh my god, the world-renowned celebrity came just to watch my terrible comedy act. You know what? I appreciate the support, you know? Celebrities like that make me feel seen. They're just like us. Anyway, I'm out of here. At home, Edward was a little bit thirsty. So actually in Sims 4, you have to purchase the plasma packs, which is kind of interesting because they're quite expensive when you think about this. Like with our budget, we don't have that much money. So 50 per pack may not seem a lot, but you do need quite few of them a day. So yeah, it is interesting system, especially if you want to be a good vampire and not like feed on people that don't want it. Because you can ask people to let you feed, but it doesn't always work out. We've done a little bit of a dark meditation, which heals up your vampiric powers. So to use vampiric powers, you actually have to make sure that you don't deplete all of the vampiric energy. So that's kind of cool. And since he is base of Edward, we went for a piano skill because, as we know, Edward likes to play piano. Sounds so beautiful, just like in the movie. So we went to the audition and passed it, so now I just had to prepare for the actual role, which was needed for me to research different emotions, different things, different directions. So I went to interact with my favorite snack, my favorite neighbor. We drink a little bit of their plasma, okay? But we were just a little bit thirsty, you know, that happens sometimes. Unfortunately, after that, she wasn't really capable of doing anything with me, so I decided to go out and interact with other people. But first, I went to take a bubble bath, and interestingly, that has counted as researching playful emotions. So basically anything that causes you different types of emotion, like in this situation, playful, it's you researching the playful emotion, which is interesting because The Sims 4 have those moodlets and some of them are hard to trigger, so I like that. I like that addition. Having a playful moodlet from the bath made it easier for us to interact with other humans in a playful way, so we slapped them silly, flashed their crazy eyes, and do all the good things to research this emotion, which we did in no time. After that, we had to develop our comedy skill, which we did by writing some jokes. We probably should have done that before we went and do like a stand-up. That's usually what you do first, but we still did good, and we completed all our tasks. We were ready for this gig. Well, we also were recommended to have a confident moodlet, but that's something that we have to do before we go to actual gig. But before that, let's go back to The Sims 3. So Supernatural expansion pack installed. As you can see, we now have a Supernatural type selection. So we went for Vampire, of course, and now we have Edward D2, who's going to be a vampire actor. Finally, we can finally do it properly. And there it is. Turn the town, vampire aspiration, finally. Let's do it. So I pretty much got to the same point as I was previously. So we have the actor job, we have the little apartment, and now we're drinking plasma from the fridge. Here you don't have to buy the plasma, it's just under quick snack. So that is handy, but it takes away a little bit of the challenge. So what do we have to do? With this one, the aspiration is much simpler. You have to drink from 20 Sims and turn 5 Sims into vampires. So it sounds simple, and there's much less thing to do. However, drinking from the Sims is not that easy in Sims 3, and turning them into vampires is very difficult. So yeah, this is a difficult task overall. Also here, you don't have it like a skill tree or anything like that. You just have the powers like Vampiric Run, let's say, or Detect Emotions. You have all of that built in as a vampire, so that's kind of boring, you know? I do think The Sims 4 has definitely improved on the vampires, because it's nice to kind of cater your own vampire with your own vampiric powers, making good or bad, having the negative traits. So yeah, that's kind of disappointing. And to give you an idea why this challenge is quite difficult, why it's so difficult to like drink from 20 Sims, look how long I've talked to this guy. This is sped up quite a bit, and I was talking to him all night, wasn't able to drink from him, wasn't able to turn him into a vampire. It just takes so long, and it has to be sometimes a specific Sims, because some Sims are just harder to drink than others. I have failed, so I went back home. Since I was a vampire, I decided to get rid of those mortal beds and instead have this kind of like a, I don't know, altar, and just turn it a little bit more vampire looking. And you know what? I like the look of it. So I was just working during the days, and at night I was just going to bars trying to feed on someone. And you have this hunting thing where apparently, you know, you can send someone to hunt. And if you do, you can like, if you do drink from them, you get like an additional moodlet or something. I'm not quite sure how it works because it never like made it easier for me to drink. And once again, I failed. and didn't drink from anyone that night. Back on that fridge stuff, and unfortunately, Sims vampires have to sleep. Or have to be on the altar. There isn't like dark meditation as such, and you don't have like a vampiric power like separate bar. And I think it's just all goes for the energy thing. Then with this very random person I've been just chatting to, she was so offended when I asked her to be turned, but whenever I asked her to drink, she allowed me. And our friendship wasn't that high, which makes me think that this is all random. I was training with like every single sim, and I only managed to drink from like 4 and just turned 1. So it was me, you know? Maybe I had to just embrace the vampiric life. So of course I did a renovation of my house, trying to make it, or my apartment, and tried to make it as vampiric looking as possible. You know, completely embrace the darkness. Meanwhile, I have been just climbing up the ladder and work, but honestly there's not much to it, so I'm not gonna talk much about it. Why does Edward always end up with everyone in the bathroom? Who knows, but we got to drink again, hell yeah. He did not want to be one of our vampire spawns though, so oh well. Hell yeah, another spawn of the night. Next day after work I decided to change the bar because, you know, maybe they know me too much in the grind and that's why people don't want me to drink from them, so I decided to go somewhere else. And I was trying all night and I found the most success at just outright asking to drink and to turn them. That seemed to be working the best. And usually when they allow you to drink, they are more likely to allow you to be turned to a vampire. Unfortunately, this bar had lots of people from supernatural stuff, so I couldn't really turn them into vampires. So there were fairies, there were like werewolves and stuff. So I couldn't really turn them into a vampire, but that seems to be working the best. There wasn't really any specific moodlet I could find, any specific type of people. It's just randomized. It's just some people just allowed me, some didn't. As such, the best places that I found to feed were like gyms, because there was lots of people going in and out, and I just approached everyone, asked them to see if they want to be drank from and if they want to be turned into vampire, and I found the most success there. Those were the best places. I do think it's time to go back to The Sims 4 and experience that actor career a little bit. Okay, so here we are, and a cool thing about Sims 4 actor career is it's not a rabbit hole, it's an interactive career. So you actually go to the set, and there are a few things you need to do. So you need to get haircut or like a makeup and stuff. You usually need to get into a costume. There are a few tasks that you have to do. So it works in similar way to social events. So you have like little different tasks. So you get to the costume, you know, rehearse scene with co-stars, tell stories. So you have to interact with your co-star and do things like that. And I think that is quite a neat thing, because it is, it feels much more complex than the one in Sims 3, which is, again, just a rabbit hole. Once you're ready to act, you tell the director that you're ready, and you go onto the stage, and you have to actually act out scenes. So it gives you different tasks to do. So here I have perform, treat patient, and there is perform, tell jokes, and depending on kind of what you kind of did beforehand, what skills that you have, you can do like a risky tell move and stuff and do it better and get better pay. But this being Sims 4, I could not perform the patient scene because the patient wasn't lying the way it's supposed to, because again, it's Sims 4, so Sims just don't do what they're supposed to be doing. So it is, again, much more interesting career, but this particular scene was difficult to do. But we still got fame, we got money, so that is all good. I went back home and my plasma packs were finishing, and they are expensive. I was only having 600 quid to my name. So what I decided to do is go fishing, and unfortunately it takes a while to fish. However, when you fish, you can make the fish into plasma packs. So that is kind of cool. I think you can do the same with frogs. So if you were to do like a rags to riches, I guess, you could actually survive as a vampire just by fishing, creating plasma packs. So that is cool. And it's cool that it's an option as well if you don't want to just buy them. I selected a new gig, which this one was Void Pop, which I had to have it Fitness 2. So yet another skill I had to develop specifically for this career, which I think it's very cool that you have to go through multiple different skills. As such, I got a treadmill so that Edward can develop his fitness. Look at him go. He's doing so well. In meantime, I developed my vampire skills more, so I've decided to go for vampire creation so that we can make other vampires if we want. Why not? Who's gonna stop us? We're progressing very well with our aspiration, but then the problem came in with purchasing the last tome of the vampire knowledge because it was actually quite expensive. $1,000 is a lot. I had to make more money, and to save some money, I fed on my neighbors again because, you know what? That's what communities are for, you know? That's what neighbors are for. You sometimes borrow a little bit of sugar, sometimes a little bit of plasma. That's how it be. Then, perfect opportunity knocked on my doors. I had leaky pipes, so I called my landlord and decided to activate my vampiric charm. Hell yeah. And with this, you know, after a little conversation, I was able to turn him into a vampire. Hell yeah. Basically, anything I do as a vampire or like through like vampire skills levels up my vampire rank, which I have to level up for this aspiration. That's why I was trying to do as much of it as possible. And I decided to improve my vampiric strength as well as improve my vampiric charm to vampiric allure. Hell yeah. I improved my fitness skills, so that was perfect. And then I improved my charisma by like talking to the mirror, which is interesting because Edward doesn't cast any reflections, so that's curious. Anyway, we had still bit to the next gig, so I went and tried to find another vampire to fight, just to keep leveling up my vampire skills, you know? So we met this lady and we beat her up, because we're legendary. Imagine strolling into someone's house, just going like, let's fight, beating them and just leaving. What the heck? And we were so OP, we even destroyed Vlad. Look, he is destroyed, bruh. Then we went to fight with Caleb and we won, which again has leveled up our aspiration. So, bro, we're flying through this. We're epic. However, at this point, we were at the very last stage of the aspiration, so we had to read the ultimate vampiric tome, which cost $1,000. We had to become Grand Master Vampire, so lots of leveling up, and then we have to last 20 days, so survive 20 days as a vampire after that. So it was still a bit away. It was almost time for the next gig, so we brushed our teeth, which gives you a confident moodlet, and then we went off to act again. So once again, we had to do makeup done, then get into the costume, and the costume kind of negated any purpose of doing makeup, but that's fine. After completing a few other tasks, we were able to start again, and this time it was kind of like a children's thing. And as you see, there's a few different options. You can do safe, show product, or risky, depending on your skill. Again, our skills were high, so we succeeded every single time and got a great performance, which gave us $475 and also celebrity status. Love that. When talking about celebrity status, again, Sims 4 loves skill trees, and I love them too, so we actually have some celebrity skills that we could go for, and I just really didn't know which one to go for, so yeah. I wasn't really sure because I wasn't really caring about celebrity status. It was all about the acting itself, you know? It's about the arts. Since we had tiny bit of money, I decided to do redecoration and make it a little bit more vampiric as well, you know? Make it dark and like mysterious, because that's the way we be. We're vampires. Look at that, that's so much better. As I said, I wasn't really interested in the celebrity status. However, I decided I really want to make money so that we can afford the ultimate tome and everything, and also to just be able to move out of this apartment. So I decided to do YouTube. So we did some happy vlogs, because why not? I then quickly learned that there's a very easy way to spam out as many points as you want for the vampire powers by just, you know, fighting and duels. Just keep doing that and you will get as many points as you like. It's levels it up crazily. It's so overpowered. It's broken almost. Now comes the time where we go back to The Sims 3. I have to be very honest with you guys, at this point, there isn't much for me to say about The Sims 3. I have a lot of hours of footage and I'm looking through it, and honestly, there isn't that much to say because I was just looking around, chasing around people to try to suck on their blood and also to change them to vampires. And it felt like complete random chance. I could have an amazing relationship, they didn't want it. I could have a terrible relationship, but they wanted it. And it was just so random. I really can't tell you what is the rule with that. There was this one random situation when the elevator broke and I just ended up in like this basement with coffins. I couldn't go anywhere there, it seemed, but I think that's a cool little detail. It was funny. However, other than that, it was mostly doing the same thing over and over. It was just going around, interacting with people, and it just wasn't fun. When it comes to Sims 4, we have completed the aspiration essentially. I was just waiting for, the 20 days to pass. So there's a bit of a cop-out that you have to wait another 20 days for the aspiration to finish. But we did it, and my sim became very rich, and we got a cool little house. So that's awesome, isn't it? But yeah. I have a certain bias towards Sims 4 Vampires because it's my favorite pack. However, there's a reason why it's my favorite pack. You have the skill tree, you have separate world, you have like a lot of ways to make the vampire your own. You can be a more evil vampire, you can be a nicer guy. You know, you have the plasma packs, you can feed on people, you can create plasma packs. There's a lot of things with vampires that just make it fun. You have also 2 separate aspirations, whilst in The Sims 3, you don't even have an aspiration in the pack where the vampires were introduced. There's just nothing. You have to buy separate supernatural pack in order to be able to actually do like an aspiration for vampires. And I'm gonna be honest, it's a boring aspiration. You just turn the vampires, people into vampires, and then you get some blood. That is not very entertaining. The whole point is that I do believe that Sims 3 has a lot of things that Sims 4 is lacking. The open world, the interactions in the family, the little details, the family management is awesome. However, when it comes to things like the vampires, the interactive careers, like they added so much in Sims 4. They definitely have learned the lessons and improved. It's a very, very hard to decide which one is like better overall because I haven't played all the Sims 3 packs yet. However, I found that my favorite so far has been definitely the base game Sims 3 because I think those were the most like life simulation aspect of the gameplay. I like the cities, I like the bands, but I do feel that so far the expansion haven't fully made the game 100% better. While The Sims 4, I do feel that with each expansion, well, depending on, there's few which I would skip, but with each expansion it adds so much more and makes the game better. So, I know I haven't reached the peak packs. I haven't played Generations, for example, which I'm very excited to play, but I would say Vampires in Sims 3 is just not the best. This time Sims 4 won, but again, I like both games, and with The Sims 3 there's a lot of aspects to it that still really appeals to me. Like, I think the city living is so much better than Sims 4, for example. So again, there's pros and cons to both games, but it is what it is. I do can't wait to play more expansions. I think Pets will be the next one. But yeah, I'm just excited to test all that out. So yeah, let me know what would you like to see next. It was a bit of a shorter video because there was less to talk about. Oh, actually, wait. There's one more thing. There is another project I'm working on. It's a secondary channel with my lovely girlfriend, and we will be playing Sims 3, or she will be playing it for the first time. So subscribe to the channel. The video is not out yet, I'm still working on it, but subscribe so you don't miss out on it. And yeah, see you. Bye.